Hey everyone, welcome back to the Brickhaven Project. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different from what we normally do, and we're actually going to be taking a look at this amazing model of the Nickel Plate Road Berkshire steam locomotive number 757. Now, this model has a really cool backstory going all the way back to the original real-life 757 locomotive. So, currently, the real 757 locomotive is being housed at the Mad River and Nickel Plate Road Railroad Museum all the way out in Bellevue, Ohio. And it has actually been being restored ever since 2019. And when they started this restoration project, a creator known as Eric's Legacy Bricks decided to partner up with the Railroad Museum and actually create an official Lego model of the 757 locomotive. And that's exactly what you see right here. And so when he partnered up with the museum, he made custom instructions, custom printed and stickered pieces, and decided to go all the way out to mass producing the set. I'm not sure how many copies of the set actually exist. I will also note that I'm not sponsored by either the creator or the museum. I actually bought my copy on eBay for roughly $350 US, but I think it's going to be well worth it. And I think it's really cool that all of the funds that the creator has been getting back from selling this model actually go directly into supporting the restoration of the original 757 locomotive. And so I have also been told that you can actually pick up this model at the Railroad Museum's shop all the way out in Bellevue, Ohio, which is really cool. So if you're ever in the area, maybe you can stop by. You might be able to take a look at this really cool set, but we're going to be kind of delving into everything this model has in store for us. So I want to make note that this model is built with official Lego pieces. You can see that in the bottom left corner. So these are all real Lego pieces. And then there are just some custom printed pieces as well as some stickers to sort of add to the realism of the model. If we flip around to the back of the box, you can see that there is a light brick included, which is really cool. And then you can see the dimensions of the locomotive. So the tender is roughly 11.5 inches long, and then the locomotive is roughly 16 inches long. So this is a pretty sizable model, but I think it's going to look really amazing on our layout. And now the model is not motorized, but I'm sure we can either make some modifications to the tender, or maybe we can do a custom train carriage behind it that would have some power functions inside of it so we can get this thing moving on the layout. But even if we aren't able to motorize it, I think this thing is just going to look absolutely phenomenal sitting on the layout, whether that be on a siding or even just sitting on one of the main lines. So let's get this model unboxed and let's see what's inside. After unboxing the set, you can see our pieces are all very nicely organized in bags labeled A all the way down to N, I think is our last bag, you can see. And then there's even a small bag included that is extra pieces for different numbers, should you want your locomotive to be something other than 757. They include the instructions on this thumb drive, so there are no physical printed instructions. They are only digital, but they include the thumb drive for you to access them. And then they also include the sticker sheet for the locomotive. You can see all the different numbers they include if you didn't want this to be the 757 locomotive. And then you can also see the copyright for Eric's Legacy Bricks, the creator of this model. The last thing they include is a small little pamphlet for the Mad River and Nickel Plate Road Museum. Just gives you a little bit of a backstory. You can pause if you want to read that. And then on the back side, you can see the location and some of their hours. So supposedly the trackside gift shop is where you would be able to purchase this model if you wanted to buy one for yourself. But overall, I'm actually very impressed by the packaging for this model. I'm just very happy to see the lettered bags is really nice. I wasn't sure if the all the parts were gonna come like unlabeled, so it's nice to see that the build is actually broken down very nicely. I have gone through and checked that all the parts, at least from what I can see, are all actually official Lego, which is a great sign. And then you can see some of the custom printing, which we will definitely take a look at once we construct the model. But that's pretty much the unboxing experience. And so now I think I'm going to get the locomotive built up, and then we will take a look at the finished model. And here is the completed Berkshire 757. This locomotive is an absolute beast. You can see on the table, it takes up roughly 3 base plates to display the whole locomotive. Now, I will note I did not build the display stand that was included with the model, mainly because I won't personally be displaying it on its stand. I wanted to have it in my Lego city. So I decided to just part out the display stand, and here I have it currently displayed on just a couple of my own Mills plated track sections from my own Lego city. But I also decided to modify the engine and tender just slightly throughout the build process, so that way it would be able to run on my layout. And I did modify the tender so that way it has power functions capabilities, mainly because I really just wanted to see this thing running throughout the city of Brookhaven. So let's dive in and take a look at all the details this locomotive has in store. Starting at the front of the locomotive, you can already see just how detail-oriented this model truly is. There are some crazy building techniques. I will note that the model is a little fragile, especially up at the front where there are some of these smaller detailed pieces, but overall the model is actually pretty sturdy despite having some fragile detail aspects. But there is a front coupler on the front, as well as a couple headlights. Now, all of the numbering and lettering is actually printed. They are not stickers, surprisingly enough, which I thought was really nice for the model kit itself. And then as we move along, you can actually see this black tile has a small white printed stripe, and that actually runs all the way across both sides of the model, and I think it looks really good. It was very well done. There's some piping on the middle of the engine, and then when we get down to the wheels, you can see 3 of the wheels are printed. Now, all 4 of the wheels did come printed with the set. However, I did modify the front one to be non-flangelant, and that was mainly so that way it can handle the curves in my layout, and I did modify the pieces that connect the wheels together, and that was also so that way we can create less friction when it's running on my layout. So do keep that in mind. I did make a couple modifications to the wheel setup. But moving along back by the cab, you can see some more detail work. That 757 logo is printed again, which is very nice. And then I did make my own custom coupler setup, and it's not perfect right now. I'm actually hoping to get those pieces in black, but gray was the only color I had them in right now. And again, they had a coupler setup that worked just fine, but it was mainly meant for display purposes only, so I wanted to modify it so it would run on the layout. And then when we get to the tender, this is a beautiful design. You can see there's a bunch of coal on the top. The nickel plate road logo is printed as well across those 2x6 black tiles. And then I did completely change the wheel setup. You can see I'm actually using 2 of the power functions bogie pieces, and that's so that way we can have extra power feeding into this locomotive. Now, I will show you on the inside in the next clip how I was able to get a battery box and an IR receiver crammed into this space, but I was really just excited to see this thing running on the layout, and I wanted to get it modified as soon as possible, and it was just a lot easier to do that during the build process. So let's open up the top where the coal area is and take a look at the inside. Now, it might be a little hard to see, but it's super easy to remove the top coal section, and in there I did manage to find room for an IR receiver as well as a battery box, and that battery box is powering both of our power functions, powered bogies. Now, again, this was a modification. This is not how the original model comes, but I just wanted to show you that it is possible to modify the tender to get power functions installed to get this model running on your own layout. Flipping around to the back of the tender, you can see even more detailing and more of those printed pieces, which is a super nice addition. I did add my own magnetic coupler just so that way it was compatible with my own rolling stock, but there is just an immense amount of detail on this tender, and overall the model itself as a whole is just absolutely incredible, and I am so happy with how it turned out. To conclude my review of the Berkshire 757, I must say that I am thoroughly impressed with the design and all the building techniques that the builder used to create this model. And I was actually very surprised by the amount of printed pieces that came with the set, and the quality of the printed pieces were actually really good. Now, I will note that if you were to get this set for yourself, something I did experience was I was actually missing some pieces here and there throughout the build process, which I personally wasn't too upset by. Obviously, I have a very large part inventory, so for me, substituting those parts was a very easy fix, as well as the fact that it's a very big custom set, and it probably wasn't mass produced, so I completely understand there being some errors when it came to sourcing pieces for the set. The instructions were also very well made. There were only maybe a handful of spots where you had to use a little extra thought to figure out where the pieces were supposed to go, but as you can see, I have the model built in front of me, so the instructions weren't too hard to follow. They were actually pretty good in my experience with custom instructions. So as a whole, I would definitely give the model a 9 out of 10. I was just so happy to get the model like where it had all the pieces in the box and the instructions and the printed pieces, so I could build it up just like it was a Lego set, and to get a model of this caliber and this detail straight out of what is essentially a Lego set is absolutely amazing. I really enjoy how the model looks. I think it's going to look amazing running in the city of Brookhaven, and I would absolutely recommend it to anyone out there who is a fan of the Berkshire 757. Again, I'm not sure what the availability for the set really is. I haven't seen any more pop up on eBay, and I'm not sure about the retail price at the physical location in Bellevue, Ohio, at the Mad River and Nickel Plate Road Railroad Museum. But overall, I am so happy to have the Berkshire 757 in my layout, and to have a full-sized, fully realistic model of a steam engine running in my layout is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But overall, I'm very happy with how the model turned out, and it was definitely a really good build, and I can't wait to get it running in the layout. So with that, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments about the model, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And as always, if you want to see more train and city related content, feel free to subscribe and leave a like. And with all of that, we will see you next time on the Brookhaven project.